Welcome to Momentum Monday, guys. Today is March 24th, on
I
Sunday.
haven't looked. It's my new bathtub. What do you think?
I think it's too small for you.
And I have a throne like everybody else.
Exactly. Well, why is it not golden?
Yeah, I'm going to do the show right from. It's where I get my best ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, Ivan, what a week.
Yeah, what a Friday. The week is great before Friday.
For those tuning in, I have my pants on, but I am on my new throne. And how's it going, Ivan?
Everything's good.
All right, so Friday was a bloodbath. I don't know how to share my screen. I wish I knew how to use the internets. But if we pulled up my Koifin, I have a list of software stocks on Koifin. They were all down like 5%.
Okay, but if you click the green arrow, like to the left.
I'm kidding. I'm too lazy.
Okay.
And you're good at driving. So,
okay, then I'm sharing my screen. I mean, I can go to Koifin first. No problem if you want to.
No. Let's get right to it. Everybody should be able to see.
Yeah, I think everyone is looking at my screen. I think currently this is one of the most important charts in the market. This is IWM, or the Russell 2000, the so-called small cap index. And as you can see, the Russell never really managed to establish above its 200-day moving average, and now it's starting to turn over. And Russell 2000 consists of many financials and energy stocks. And as we all know, currently the yield curve is flat. The 10-year yield is basically equals to the 1-month treasury. And when that happens in the bond market, usually it means that the financial market is expecting a recession. I mean, the market is not always correct, but this is what currently the market is saying when we have a flattening yield curve. And this is why we're seeing that relative weakness in small caps.
Yeah, I'll chime in that, one day does not
make a
trend make. But
yes.
Yeah, the Russells have been underperforming. I think rates started declining a month or so ago, 2-3 months ago. So it's not a great environment for financial stocks. If we were to look at even Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, they just have not been acting well for a while.
Yep. And as you can see that they're all rejected.
You're not going to make money if you're looking at financial stocks for the last year. You would think it'd be a great environment. There's thieving galore going on. IPOs are dominated by Goldman and JP Morgan, but the financial stocks that are working are the payment stocks. So I've been pull up the S&P. So the small caps obviously are being affected by financials. The S&P, if we, we were due for some kind of sell-off. It was getting pretty easy. Friday was ugly, but one nasty day was expected. You had the Mueller report. You had coming out. It was over the weekend. We'll get a little bit better idea this week. But globally, I think if you toured the world, it's pretty constructive right now. There's price action wise around the globe. A lot of the ETFs around the globe are
this is Germany.
Friday was pretty ugly. So again, I think
this is China.
Yeah. So they were acting pretty constructively with the U.S. leading, and then Friday globally was just an ugly day.
And this is Brazil.
Well, that was nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brazil had been one of the leaders. So, so let's see. Maybe the news breaking of the Mueller report and uh, Trump yelling "no collusion" and feeling redeemed is some kind of top. But I think technically the U.S. technology stocks and the semiconductors look pretty good. Let's go to the Nasdaq 100.
Right.
Yeah, semis reversed right at the all-time highs. Nasdaq was right at all-time highs and reversed on Friday. So let's see. I think this week is a week where there's nothing fancy you need to do, Ivan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing that currently
we were in a couple trades. Coupa was like, we lasted an hour. Look at some of the reversals were nasty.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, those
But
are
yeah,
momentum
notice
stocks.
on a monthly, but on a daily they were ugly.
They can have a 10 to 50% pullback at any given moment, even in the middle of a bull market. Just due
So
to
let's look at
sector
what else they were like. I mean, that's a beautiful breakout that just immediately reversed back into its base.
So, I mean, let's go back to Wednesday real quick. I mean, the Fed came out and they said we're not going to raise the rates this year.
Yeah, they're
sure.
pretty dumb.
And next year there might be up to one raise. And they said our reasoning is because the economy is slowing down. And I mean, for some that might be bad news because the Fed is saying that the economy is slowing down, but for others that's great news. For high growth companies, and many of them are tech companies, this is great news because all the money, all the capital will go to those companies and to those stocks that will continue to grow at 20-30%. So this is why we saw so many breakouts in software and in semiconductors and in high growth companies on Wednesday and on Thursday. And then Friday, I don't know what happened and what the real reason is. We saw a complete reversal on a big volume.
Happens. It's been a great 3-month rally, and we'll see what this week brings. I'm gun in pocket, so to speak, meaning I'm not looking for new ideas this week unless we completely reverse, because I think a lot of stocks look at Coupa last year. If we go to the did you notice any other reversals yesterday, Friday, Ivan?
There are quite a few. I mean, most momentum stocks were down between 4 and 7-8%. Which,
so this is Zscaler, a security stock.
This is not unusual for a momentum stock, and many of them are. We even mentioned it last weekend that many of those stocks were overextended, and we said don't chase them. I mean, if you're gonna put money to work, just find stocks with fresh bases, because many of those momentum stocks were already extended, so they were due for some type of consolidation. And in this case, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if many of them test their 50-day and even below it. I mean, because look at Splunk, for example. I mean, some people might say this is a bear flag. I mean, depending on your time frame here.
Yeah. I think you just gotta. We're back in a wait and see mode. It may last a few days. It may last a few months. We don't know. But when this many stocks reverse that violently, you just want to see. Nike kind of gave up the shark. I think Lulu, in my fashion area, Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu, I think they report this week.
Okay, so this will be a big report. I am just super. I've never been more bullish on the product and on the state of the company. But the markets, the stock's kind of just building a base here. But with Nike kind of, I wouldn't say missing, but disappointing. I mean, it had a great run into earnings. Yeah. So, hitting all-time highs, but just like everything else in the last few days, just kind of reversing. And, let's hope it's more there to breed a little bit of fear for the upside to resume. But,
Nike is one of those stocks where, you should not
ever
chase. You should welcome the dips in a stock like this.
But I'm watching Apple and Lulu. I was lightening up on Apple in the 180, high 180s again. Hit mid 190s and then reverse violently on Friday. I mean, right where it probably needed to take a break. It had a great run. Microsoft's hitting all-time highs. They're battling it out daily for most valuable company in the world. And then it had a violent reversal on Friday. Not much volume though, so we'll see. Listen, it's great. I don't like the action in the financials. I've been going back to Goldman and J.P. Morgan. I mean, they should be at all-time highs. I mean, it's they got a license to print money and steal money. No one's overseeing them. They've never been more dominant in their space. And then even Silicon Valley Bank, that just imploded. I think it's SVB. Yeah, SI. Yeah. I mean, that is a big give back from, mid 300s down to the low 200s and back into its 2017 base. So, the financials have not done well under this administration. And I don't know what that portends. And it's really just the tech companies that continue to carry this market. Is there any other area, Ivan? The biotechs are pretty violent.
The biotech, they had a big breakout recently, but then a reversal.
Yeah, another reversal.
Last week, and they're in the middle of nowhere. As you can see, they were just going.
The large caps in this industry are not working. Amgen's not working. They're just, it's a lot of the smaller names that, kind of chopped around at all-time highs and now it's back into an older base. So, the leadership is just semiconductors and software stocks, which makes sense to me, but it kind of feels like all the smart money owns the same stocks, or all the momentum money. And I think we need a kind of a wider market. And you're going to have a lot of supply coming on the market with Pinterest this week, Uber coming up, Lyft. So again, you kind of take last week's price action, and you kind of sit tight is where I'm playing it. What about you, Ivan? Swing ideas?
I think as active market participants, we need to be prepared for different scenarios. And if we take a look at the Russell 2000, which is kind of a leading index, because it's more volatile and faster than the rest. One bullish scenario here would be like the forming of an inverse head and shoulders here, like a pullback to 145, maybe 140, and then a reversal, and building that new base, and then trying to test the new all-time highs. And then one bearish scenario is just a continuation lower, like another leg lower, which would surprise the majority, like a lot more people, because right now most people are bullish and optimistic, and they expect dips to not last long and to be shallow, and to the market to reverse, just because the Fed is behind the market again and is going to support it by any means. So I mean, those are the two major scenarios, like an inverse head and shoulders at some point, or another leg lower and test of those lows here. And I think the first scenario, the bullish scenario, is more likely, but we just need to take it, day by day and see how the market reacts. I mean, there's no.
It'd be funny, Powell was like, fighting. Trump was fighting with Powell, got his way. It'd be funny if the market sold off now that kind of Powell's back on the expansionist side. Markets work in mysterious ways. I'm taking Friday as like a major, smack. And now the markets are back in the prove me state. I'm not bearish at all, but I need to see kind of the leading stocks kind of firm, because Friday was pretty violent day down, trend day down. All right, so we'll be back next Monday. Ivan, let's walk through market wisdom quickly. This is Ivan and I's product, sharing. It's built on momentum, but Ivan obviously swing trades. We have the Momentum 50 list. Ivan, walk through a few of the names at the top of the list.
All right, this is the Momentum 50 list for next week. Mercado Libre is on the top this week.
Yeah.
PayPal is one of their new strategic partners, and the market really liked their last earnings report. Let's pull it up, the chart.
Yeah, it just went straight up. And even with Brazil, God, I'm really bummed I missed this. Even with Brazil kind of reversing.
Yeah, but even with Brazil down substantially in the last 2 days. The payment stocks in Brazil, the internet stocks of Brazil, like the Stone and
Stone was in the
PagSeguro,
STNE. If we look at that,
they're holding incredibly well considering how hard Brazil was hit in the past couple of days.
Yeah, no, that's one that we got for our subscribers. That's just a monster win. Just had that look about it. The other one that has this look about it is PAGS. It's kind of like we went with Stone, but PAGS kind of got this like tight base for the last year, and might just be chasing in terms of STNE and Mercado Libre, but another payment company out of Brazil. So that's the real strength. Payments, Visa, MasterCard, right there at all-time highs still.
Yeah, absolutely. They continue to outperform the market, and
they're the banks. They're the financials that people care about. They're based on commerce. They're not based on interest rates. They're based on, simple growth in the economies. And they're not as complicated as owning the financial stocks, the banks, the old financial stocks. And we can see Goldman Sachs, maybe a sign of the times. The Square is the one I like the least. You got a CEO who's got 2 jobs. You don't have an international plan, and they pay Visa, MasterCard. I just don't see why people get so excited about Square. But and now it seems to be the weakest of the payment companies. But PayPal kind of right at all-time highs, Ivan.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason my
We're a little slow.
connection is still slow tonight.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorites, and it's kind of holding in here. But if the market sells off, these are not immune from 20-30% sell-offs themselves. Okay, Ivan, have a great week. I'm sure next week we'll have a little more clarity on if Friday was kind of the tip of the iceberg. But have a great week, everybody.
You too, Howard.
Okay.